So for this project I'm going to be using the Polyclear Christmas stamp set here, which is called Vintage Christmas Wishes. So I'm going to create my background. So for this I'm going to be using some of the Ranger gloss cardstock, and I'm going to be using a bit of packaging that I've folded in half just to help stop my fingers from getting too messy. And then I'm also going to be using the Chameleon Pens Bark Cool Grey 5 and also Cornflower Blue. And I'm also going to be using some blender solution, which I've put into a little mini mister bottle that I got from Imagine Crafts. So to begin, I'm just going to add a layer of colour. It doesn't matter sort of how much I put down, just so long as I put some colour down in each area. And now I'm going to be doing the blue. Now I'm going to want more blue than of the brown, because I just want the brown for my base. And then I'm going to be using, sorry, that was the grey. And then I'm going to be using the blue for the very top area. Now I want to blend these together a bit, so this is where I'm going to use my blending solution, and I'm just going to spritz a little bit onto my acetate sheet here, and then close it down, and that will smush the colours together and blend them together a little bit. So then when I place my card down and press, that will give me a nice blended piece of card. I can do this with both sides if I wish. Or I can do them on different ones. Now whilst that's still damp, what I can also do is I can go in if I'm not happy with the finish, and I can just smush along to get a more even finish whilst that's still wet. So that's given me my background with my Chameleon Pens. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour in this stamp and place that onto my panel. And I think I'm also going to pop a little bit of the blue along the top from the Midnight Blue there, just to give it a little bit more depth. So I'm now going to use the Spice Chai Stays On, and I'm just going to colour in this little deer and place that onto my design. Now if I'm careful, what I can do is I can add a little bit of colour to him. Now although I've used Stays On, I wouldn't normally recommend colouring over that, because the Chameleon Pens will react with the alcohol ink, but I'm just going to very carefully use my caramel pen, and I'm just going to very lightly go in to some of these areas here, just to give him a little bit more colour. And just by dotting, I'm not actually moving the colour around too much from the ink, or mixing those in. And then again with the bark, I'm just going to go in on those antlers a little bit. So that is our background created. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a foreground. So I'm placing a piece of acetate over the top of this, and this time I'm going to be using the trees. So I want to position them on my design, roughly where I want them to be. And then I'm going to use the Emerald City ink to ink up the stamp. Now because I've done these on acetate, they are quite light. So what I can now do is I can go on the reverse side of the acetate and I can actually enhance the colours a little bit more. So I'm just going to turn this over so that you can see how I'm going to do this. So this is the reverse side now. And I'm just taking the Chameleon Evergreen pen. I'm just going to add a very few seconds blend. So the next phase is to actually cut round them. So now I've got my base design, I'm going to add this to my card blank. Now I'm going to stamp my sentiment, and I'm going to be using VersaFine ink, and I've just created a little rectangular stitched mat here using Acrylics and Spellbinders rectangle dies. So that's going to go on top of here like this. Okay, so I'm just going to put some double-sided foam pads to raise that off. I'm just going to line that up with my card. So now I'm ready for my next layer. So I'm going to place my trees onto my design. And then I have a final layer here that I'm going to put over the top. And again, I'm using dimensional foam pads. And that then concludes our second card.